I'm Adora Crystal. Welcome to the Rich Queen podcast. I believe that we each came here to experience, create, express something so freaking epic. And I believe that your life and all that you create is your queendom. Your journey to rich living. Whatever that is for you starts now.
I am so excited to share with you another person that I love and adore already. Many of you know that books and authors and people have taken time to make the world a better place through sharing have been what I feel is the whole reason that I'm not a statistic. And so there's a particular book, Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world. I'll give you all a little background around how it blessed me. And then we're going to be talking with Dave Blanchard, the CEO and founder of the Mandino Leadership Institute. He's also a best-selling author, got the movie coming out, the Mandino movie, we'll get the official title, has an incredible story himself that I can't wait to dig into. Yeah. And we're going to get some good content here for you, some good value. And it's going to be great. So, woo! So thank you so much for being here.
I love your energy.
Thank you. So I want to give you a little bit of background on how this story, how this book blessed me, plus the people listening to my podcast and all that. I think I want you all to know why this book is so special and meaningful to me, which all the books, all of my favorite books are. But I found the greatest salesman in the world right after I had been a dancer in a gentleman's club, and someone I trusted put Rohypnol in my tea, and I knew things had to change. And so I was reading Think and Grow Rich. And, chapter 1 is all about law of desire. And I wrote, if I could do anything, I would be paid to interview successful people. Napoleon Hill was interviewing. If I could be paid to do that, that would be amazing. And someone called me that didn't even know that was in my goal book that I was reading out loud. You see how energetic I am. Imagine at 22, I'm reading with enthusiasm. And he told me there's a job that I think you should apply for. I worked there when I was younger. I can get the interview. You're going to have to go through psychology tests. Anyway, it ended up being as a producer on the Discovery Channel, working with Pat Summerall Productions. I wasn't even done with the book yet. And basically, I was calling on CEOs of 10 million plus companies, and there was an interview process in order to enroll them in wanting to be featured on this show. And so what I did is I got this book, and I knew enough but at that point to know that I had to condition myself for success. So I was reading the scrolls every day, and I had them laminated, because, your book falls apart if you try to. Back then, there wasn't really a printing. I guess I could have copied. Then I became a top producer there, closing $26,000 deals, way over my quota. So I started mentoring other people, and I would print the scrolls. Illegal, don't do that. But I printed them and had everybody reading them. And I just want to show you, I also wrote it on, there's me like with the laminated, you can't really see it, I'll have to post it later, but I'm writing it out on a poster board, and there's my laminated, dingy, Mandino scrolls. And then here's this is not too long after the rape. So, but in that background, you see the scrolls up there written on the wall. And it was, I have spent more than 1 year with these scrolls, and I think they're so amazing. So I'd love to personally thank you for continuing that legacy. And I know that you've written some books and have some things. So having shared that, if you haven't gotten the book, please do. I'm reading them again with Rami Smitty. I wasn't planning to. I thought I was too busy, but he's quite charming himself, as you know.
I love Rami.
Yeah. And so yeah, I want to dive into your story, not only of how you got into Mandino's work, but I got to watch your TED Talk about, and I know inspiration is one of your favorite words, and I love that. So I'd love for you to just give us a little background on you and what got you into this work.
Well, we look at our lives and everything leads up to something really important, just like yours. All those pieces led up and uniquely prepared you. I started in the financial industry, specialized with physicians, developed the largest medical management consulting firm south of Los Angeles. I was investing in real estate privately. Some of the doctors wanted to join me, and we were building 100-unit apartment complexes in Southern California and doing great. Then the world fell apart. And we saw this money go through our fingers like water. You couldn't stop it. It was just falling apart. When it was all done, I owed $1 million. I was the corporate guarantor because I was the one with the money, right? So I guaranteed all of the corporate lines of credit. So when the company failed, the bank came after me.
Wow.
And I would spend 10 years paying it back and starting a new career. I've been doing films. I did one called Reach Out on teenage drinking and driving that was playing on the Country Western VH1 channel. And then a series on child abuse, emotional, physical, sexual child abuse. It was on every military base in the world, every Department of Defense school system, and 40,000 schools in the U.S., Canada, New Zealand, Australia. It was really a fun project, but it was just an application. Mm-hmm. And I decided, I really like film. Maybe I'll just go do that. So for the next 10 years, while I'm paying this back, I'm building a film career, writing and directing television commercials, the Vanna White commercials for Spring Air, the Simmons mattress commercials. Had a great career. But about 1997, a producer came to town and said, I need a script writer for one of Mandino's books called The Christ Commission. And I had just barely read the book like the month before. And they came to me and said, would you be interested? And I said, oh my goodness, I have a vision for this. So they hired me and I wrote the script. I took it down to Scottsdale and I delivered it to Betty Mandino, Og's widow. And it turned out I'd finished it the day it was her birthday, which is kind of cool.
Wow.
And we just developed a great friendship. Then in 2000, world hadn't come to an end. And I'm in a cancellation line of The Lion King in New York. We're shooting commercials for CNBC, and we got done early, so I brought the film crew down. We're waiting, hoping to get in. By the way, we all got in, which was cool. Yeah. But Betty calls me and says, Dave, the rights to the greatest salesman in the world are not being renewed, and I wanted to call you first. Would you be interested?
Wow.
Betty, is this a rhetorical question? That's my favorite book. Because I read that in the darkness of that 10 years of paying that debt back. And it was like putting on an old shoe that you just loved. I mean, just fit. And I remember consciously thinking when I was reading, you have the same teacher I have. Huh. You have the same teacher. Just fell in love with his writing. So I said, of course. So I came home, left the film business, and we started The Greatest Salesman in the World. By the way, that same year, I paid off the last $14,000 in that $1 million. It was gone, right? And there was enough money there to start a company. And we spent the last 19 years bringing these correct principles into the 21st century. We've created a proprietary coaching program. I spent $2 million in 18 years developing a science out of the University of Tennessee that measures with laser accuracy how a person thinks, not their behavior, not their personality, those memorized emotions, but the headwater. What are the habits of thinking that are driving their life? Because Og's principles address those habits, right?
Yeah.
So now we measure them. Now we can help somebody actually take them on and know where to spend their time so they can maximize their investment and time and money, et cetera, to get the very best results. So we're just excited. So I get to spend all day changing lives.
I love that. I know that we're going to be giving a link out for everyone to go. That test that you're talking about that I want to dive into in a little bit, it is so powerful. I couldn't believe how much you all knew about me from this 2 little 10-minute test, 2-question test that I took. It was so crazy, so profound. I want to know, so I've heard you talk about the power of thinking and the way that you think and feel about yourself and the habits of thinking. And I heard you talking about your own childhood and some things that you had to overcome as well. And, you know, my audience are people that are usually entrepreneurs or on an entrepreneurial path, or women who are deciding that they're going to change the way that they're thinking and feeling about themselves, men and women. So will you share a little bit about your own things that you had to overcome as a child?
Sure. By the way, when I wrote Today I Begin a New Life, my agent said, "What happened the morning before that?" I said, "I don't want to talk about it." She says, "Just tell me." And I said, "I want to talk about it." And I finally did. She says, "All that stuff's going to be in the book."
Yeah.
I'm going, okay. The most profound moment, and I'll just give you a spoiler alert. Greatest asset. Your greatest asset is your most painful life experience. If you're truly focused on blessing another person, our life experiences have uniquely prepared us with empathetic reference points so that when we're listening to people, we can hear things maybe other people don't hear, ask questions they may not ask, and leave somebody going, "Oh, finally, somebody understands me." That brings down a wall of resistance, releases a huge reserve of energy and cooperation. We're actually honoring the human being, but we're doing it with our own life experience. It was in Chicago when I was speaking, and I had that dream of dragging this big sack around. We all have one, right? Everybody just grab one and we just go, "Oh, this is awful." And I was asked to empty it, to pick up the most painful item. I knew what it was. 3 to 5 years of age in Chicago. Matter of fact, it's way up there. Somebody actually made one of these for me, a 5-inch ball with spikes on it, because that's what I had in my dream. And I'm holding this, and I get asked this question: is anybody else suffering from a similar wound? And I went, yeah. Then engrave this on your heart. And it slid right in, and all of a sudden, that which I did not want to have be part of my life, I wanted to be someone else, somewhere else, doing something totally different back then, because I was in the care and keeping of a pedophile who showed up with his wife to relieve my parents of their frustrations when they were going to school and working and needing help with the kids. Took a lot more than they ever gave. But that experience on my heart has allowed me to serve some people at an incredible level. Pick up the next one. Anybody suffering from a similar wound? Yes, engrave it on your heart. This is what I was told at the end of the dream. I'll just share it with you, Adora. Adora, your character has been forged in the furnace of adversity. You know what pain feels like, don't you? Can you take it back? Can you relive the experience? No. You can choose to use it as a reference point, a rich resource to serve another person. And if you'll use it that way, there'll finally be purpose in the suffering, joy in the journey, and much needed healing in your soul. It was just a great moment. It's called The Chicago Dream. I write about it in Today I Begin a New Life and The Observer's Chair. It's learning how to repurpose our painful life experiences as reference points for service instead of trying to drag them around behind us, because we drag them because we don't want to face them, right? Or we try to throw them away, write it on a rock and throw it out in the water or something. It doesn't work. They're our experiences. They're part of our life. But if we repurpose them and use them to serve, we can create incredible relationships with people. So a question for you, for the audience to ponder. When was the last time, I do this in front of audiences all the time, 1,800 people, 3,000 people, 7 or 8 people can raise their hand to this question. That's it. When was the last time someone cared enough about you to really listen until you felt understood, and they didn't try to fix you or give you advice? Can you remember the last time, Medora?
I can, but I'm fortunate. I'm surrounded by some powerhouses that we all, but I know most people
aren't. But would you agree that
I would totally agree.
Still very rare.
It's so rare.
And the invitation is to become the rare one. Mm-hmm. Become the one who owns the life experience, shows up listening, and creates that experience for everyone they meet. Greatest secret of success, Og says. Muscle can split a shield and even destroy life, but only the unseen power of love, agape love, this heightened level of awareness, only this will open the heart. Until I master this art, I'm no more than a peddler in the marketplace.
Yeah, that is so beautiful and so profound, because so many people, I've been there before where, I was burying certain things that I was ashamed of, and whether they were things imposed upon me, things I imposed upon myself, things I imposed upon other people, but owning all of those things and really choosing to love myself and love the experience, and then sharing them is an invitation for other people to drop their shame, to drop their pain. And really, when we're in shame and pain, it's a cage that isn't real. And the reaction is all fight or flight, or I would say a lot of fight or flight. So it's a beautiful thing for personal environment and the whole world environment to be able to own all the pieces, the yummy and delicious and the not so delicious. And I really believe that, if you don't own those darker pieces, you can't ever really feel the heights of gratitude or the depths of love and really being accepted, or even self-acceptance, like creator acceptance. So I love this message that you're talking about. And it's so beautiful to see how you've taken your own and turned it around. You've got so many people that you're impacting, speaking all over the world, Budapest, Boston. I want to know something personal. So tell me about this chief behind you.
I collect Western art. Mm-hmm. Remington, there's a Remington back there. You see that one? Mm-hmm. And this is a cigar Indian. It's a really early one, about 1820. It's whitewashed in silver, from Louisiana.
Okay.
I collect pieces like that. I just love them.
And why? Do you know why you love them?
And I went, it engraved this on your heart. Remington, for an example, is just a great sculpture. I've got one up at the cabin. It's called the Renegade, and there's one called what's that one? Oh my goodness, I forgot what it's called. Stampede. Mm-hmm. Weighs 320 pounds, but it's all these cows with a cowboy in the middle of it, and they're in the middle of a stampede. You can feel the stampede in a bronze statue. You just feel it. And I went, it engraved this on your heart.
Are you an artist? Do you tick around with art or no?
I was in college. My first major was art. And I learned really quickly what natural ability looks like and what it doesn't look like. That was not my gift.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but you just still have such a great appreciation of passion caught in a moment. Mm-hmm. That is
great painting or something. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And especially Western. Do you know why Western? Did you grow up watching a lot of Western movies or reading Western books? Why Western?
Gunsmoke, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Which that wasn't the song Rawhide, Get Them Doggies Rolling. That's a different one, right?
Well, great story. We have a cabin up at Bear Lake. It's 7 bedrooms and 8 bathrooms. It's really fun. But it came into our life miraculously. It's a log cabin. We've had 250 couples come up there to take on their marriages. It's been incredible.
Wow.
Well, it's got that kind of a Western motif. So I fell in love with those pieces. These are kind of leftovers that didn't fit someplace. And so the whole cabin's, bears and wolves and cougars and Remingtons and Marion Russells. And it's just really a fun place, just a healing place. So that's really what got it started, was a log cabin.
Well, how did it come in miraculously? I love these kind of, I told you my little manifestation story of writing down that I wanted to be interviewing people. And I just love our ability to go into our hearts and take inspired action and to see these miracles come about. So tell us that miracle story.
At Bear Lake, we had a condo. We have 7 children. We had 13 grandkids at the time. Now we have 27.
Oh my gosh.
And when the whole family came, we had kids sleeping in bathtubs and showers and with pads on them. It was ridiculous. So we said, it's time. And I went, yeah. And engrave this on your heart. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, couldn't find anything we really liked. Thursday, we stayed home and watched movies and read books. And that evening, we were driving down the restaurant and we passed the street. And I looked over. There was a new log cabin being built, and it was exactly what my heart had always seen. So we got to the restaurant, and I said to the server, "Could I have a piece of paper and a pen?" And I drew out the floor plan. And on the way back home, there was a truck parked out in front of the cabin. So I said, "Let's go take a look." And there wasn't a driveway or stairs up to it, anything yet. So we climbed up inside and said, "Anybody here?" And we're downstairs. I said, "Can we come in?" They said, "Sure, come on in." So we're going down the stairs to the downstairs portion, and the lady's coming up, and I recognized her. I said, "I know you." She says, "Oh, you probably know my twin sister." I said, "What does she do?" And she told me, and I said, "Oh my goodness, I have spoken for that company like 3 times a month for the last 3 years. Wow. I'm Dave Blanchard." She said, "Oh, I know you. I've heard you speak." We just had one of those kind of moments. I said, "Can we look at your cabin?" She said, "Sure." So we looked at it, and we met back up in the living room, and she said, "We are looking for a partner." And I said, "Well, I wouldn't be interested in being a partner, but if you ever want to sell it, well, we might sometime." Well, Adora, that's all I needed. That night, I landscaped it. I furnished it. I had 3 family reunions in my mind before the sun came up. And I said,
3 family reunions?
Yeah. I said, "Let's walk down there." So we walked down the mountain to this place, and it's 7:00 in the morning. And I kid you not, we're in the basement, and the phone rings, my cell phone. I said, "Hello, Dave Blanchard." She said, "Have you been thinking about it?" I said, "I'm in your basement." So we invited them to come.
I don't know if that's creepy or awesome, right? That's probably what she was thinking.
Creepy or awesome. Well, here's the story. They bought the lot from an investor who also put up the money to build the log cabin, and she was going to get a mortgage. But she needed a subprime mortgage, and in 2007, they had disappeared. You couldn't get one. That's why they needed the partner. And she said, "Here's the story. We're going to lose the property on Saturday. This is Friday morning."
Wow.
I said, "Wow." She said, "Yeah, yesterday I had this impression. I turned to Dewey," that's her husband, said, "We've got to go to Bear Lake. It's a 2.5-hour drive. We've got to go to Bear Lake right now." He said, "Why? We just have to be there." Well, she'd been out there's a creek behind it, and then the lake, 22 miles, 8 miles, like just right below that. And she'd been out by the creek bed crying, just pleading to God, saying, "I don't get this. I felt impressed to build this. We shouldn't be losing it." And she just walked back in when we came in.
Wow.
So we had this conversation. I said, "What are you going to do with the cabin?" She said, "Well, I was going to rent it all the time except for 1 week in the summer for our family." I said, "Well, why don't we give you a week every summer?" if we buy it? And she said, well, that would be awesome. So we called up the owner's representative who came up, and guess what? He was a huge Og Mandino fan.
Nuh-uh.
So,
no way.
I'm no kidding. And we're having this conversation. He calls up the guy. He says, will you let him take over the contract? And he said, if you could close it in a week. And I said, we can close it in a week. And he said, great, done. So a week later, it's closed. It gets crazier. It's rented for the whole summer. Now it's finished, right? So we're up there sweeping up the last of the dirt, and the electrician's putting a fan in a 24-foot ceiling outside because it's the only light fixture he had to meet the requirement for.
Wait. So this is like, okay, you meet, you fall in love with the cabin, you start thinking, dreaming, planning reunions. Next day, you get the call while you're in the basement. So this is what, a week later?
And by noon, no, this is the next day.
Next day, you're
Next day, we're by noon, we'd cut the deal.
Oh my!
By the following Friday, we closed the escrow.
What?
By the following Friday, it needed to have all of its furniture in it. So Ramon and I went down to a place called R.C. Willey, which is a furniture store here in the Utah area, and we got there at 8:15. Our guy wasn't available till 8:45, so he got permission to keep the store open with one cashier. So he and I walked through this massive store, 8 of these, 6 of those, 7 of those. It was kind of like that.
How did that feel?
And they had it shipped, and it got there, and the floor wasn't finished yet. So it all got moved into carpeted areas on the back deck. They finished the floor. We're just barely in time for the first renters. The first renters got there as the conditional use permits being signed off.
Oh my God.
And it's that close. They did $3,500 worth of damage.
What?
Yeah. And the management company within 2 weeks, had everybody moved into a different cabin, and we had it.
Oh my goodness.
Now it gets better. I wake up one day and I said, sweetheart, we were going to buy that house down the street that has 6 master bedrooms so that we could bring clients in for couples retreats. There are 6 master bedrooms in this cabin. Why don't we do it up here? Yeah. 250 couples later.
Oh.
I can't even begin to tell you what's happened in this place in terms of marriages. We've had people come that were separated who got back together who are still married. We had one person get divorced, and I even actually recommended it.
You're like, no, you two, you need this place.
Healing. We call it the healing place.
Wow.
You think about how that came into our lives. When we bring people there, the conversation is, this is your place while you're here. Because we don't feel like we own it. It was just given to us for this purpose. And of course, we've had lots of family reunions there as well.
How many now?
I can't even count them.
Way beyond 2. Way beyond the
beyond.
origination.
Well, it's a fun thing to have 42 people there. That's the family.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine Sunday afternoon dinner, 42 people.
I think that's amazing. I think it's so amazing. I think people are in a time that we're craving that connection and togetherness, but also freedom. And it can be really challenging to navigate relationships in a world where all the roles are being redefined and there are so many options at your fingertips, and loyalty isn't, it's not always as honored as liberty, and, which is good. We needed some change. We needed some liberty on the planet, but then the pendulum has to swing for us to feel, for those who value the feeling of creating an empire with a partner. And so I think that's so awesome. I want to be able to tell people where to find everything with you, but I want first to say how, or to ask. So when it comes to manifesting miracles, or I've heard you talk about impressions, inklings, and I know you're a 4 a.m. person. So is Mr. Wayne Dyer, who always woke up at 4 a.m. And there are several people on this planet that 4 a.m. is their magic time. Most of my life, that was the bedtime for me. But so it's like, tag, you're all right. That's what's happening, shift change. But So what do you think are the elements of because, you hear there's law of attraction, there's, things as ancient as the Bible, Napoleon Hill, there are all these different ways of bringing in what people call or miracles. But I think that it's really very systematic when the right things are in place. I'd love to know what your elements are when you think about how those kind of miracles come in.
First of all, thank you for going here, because one of our single greatest challenges with entrepreneur people is they don't know how to create. They think that if they visualize with something with enough intention, that it'll magically manifest. Mm-hmm. First question we want to ask, do we want life to be more comfortable? Mm-hmm. Or are we seeking to become a creator? Because if we're seeking comfort, we'll use our gift of vivid visualization, which 97% of entrepreneurs have. We'll use it to go into fantasy, which is to go to a time beyond the creation of it and start to imagine what it's going to be like. And with this thought process, we create a new mental construct, a new reality. And we have norepinephrine coursing through our body, which is very euphoric. But the instant that life shows up differently, the body goes into an autonomic response. That's more than automatic. Sympathetic nervous system now, instead of norepinephrine, the antithesis, cortisol. The amygdala gets activated, starts shutting down our prefrontal cortex, our empathy, our practical judgment, our common sense. We're rendered emotionally paralyzed. We're confused. We don't know what to do. We're on an undulating fantasy catastrophe, driven by a desire for life to be a little easier and less stressful, more comfortable. You can't create seeking comfort. You seek comfort, you focus on circumstance. Then you become a consumer to try to figure out how to get it, and you're miserable. If you're a creator, now you use that vivid visualization to get an inspired idea, an intuitive impression, a creative solution that if I have you wired to a functional MRI, we would see part of your brain ignite. It's a gamma spike. It ignites our passion and drives our action, and we go into action. Nobody gets to skip the action. It's either boring, mundane, burdensome, or repetitive, or it's passion-driven. But when we're in passion-driven action and in creation, here's the secret. We're in alignment with the powers of the universe. It all lines up. And people show up in our life who can serve us and who we can serve. And we speed creation up to its fastest possible pace. But we don't get to skip the work. But we don't like the work if we're in fantasy, because it's boring, mundane, burdensome, repetitive, and hard. So to everybody listening, we're going to want to make the decision. What do we want? Do we want comfort, or do we want to become a creator? You want to become a creator. Use that gift. Get those inspired ideas. Act on them. Live present in the now, taking the clay you've been given, whatever that is, creating, celebrating, going to your mind to get an inspired idea to create and celebrate. Most of the world lives in their mind, tolerates the present, and they beat themselves up because it's not happening. I can almost touch it. I can almost taste it. Why can't I have it? What's wrong with me? Does God not love me? Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with our desire for comfort and ease. It's incongruent with creation and all the principles that govern it. It's almost magical when you're in congruence with the principles, but you're not skipping the work. It's just not work. It's passion driven. It's exciting. Oh, if we could get the world to figure this one out. But would you agree with me, Adora? The world does a really good job of selling ease and less stress.
Yes. Yes.
And then everybody tries to do the vivid visualization thing, seeking that. And they end up broken, and angry. They can't figure out why it wouldn't work. Well, it's in congruence with the law of creation. Did I get on a soapbox or what?
No, I love it. Listen, I talk about it a lot. And sometimes I do talk about ease, because I think some people get so in work, no inspiration, everything's a to-do list. They're burning their systems out because it's
absolutely
not inspired work. It's all will and force. And so I think there's a time where selling ease in balance is important, but you're right. The world is in this big, like, oh, it's all, light and ease. And even some of the spiritual talks are all about just sit there and, you're going to just wait. And we know innately that makes no sense. You want a great body, you go to the gym, there's some work there, and it doesn't always feel awesome. But when it's inspired by, I want to live with the vitality to fulfill my life's purpose and, get on the ground with my grandbabies, then it's a pleasure to go do that hard work. So that's what you're talking about. It's when it's grounded in purpose and passion instead of fantasy. Dave, one of my favorite things to say is that if you were a spirit, if spirits are floating around, the greatest gift is to squeeze yourself into a body and to take up this sovereign land, this sovereign property, and to get to taste ice cream, skin your knee, go get your heart broken, do all this stuff. And that one of the greatest waste is spending our time in the head or in the, when I get beyond this place, like, no, squeeze yourself into the body and then do the work to make it manifest, to feel like that is the game we came to play as spirits in a physical body. It's not about detaching from the body or detaching from the work or living in this la la land or in the future, in the past. It's about squish yourself back in, stop letting other occupants rule, Nike, and I love Nike, I wear it, but everyone else has agendas for us. And those past pains, the baggage you were talking about carrying around, or fantasies about what would be better than what we have, all steal precious moments to be present and physical and feeling the work of things. It's a gift. Total gift.
Brilliant. We got our head and our body in the same place. That's what I'm hearing you say. We're present in the now. It's always now. 10 minutes from now, it's still now. There's no tomorrow. 24 hours from now, it's still now. Do we spend time here? Because this is where creation occurs. We see it in our mind, but we come here and take that vision and actually do the work of creation. That's what I'm hearing. I love that. Squeeze into here. Instead of living out there, that doesn't do anything for you. Nothing ever happens. Wow.
I love your bringing it together. I love your life story. I love your love of art. I know that you've got so much that you've created. There are books they can go get by you. They can look at TED Talks. If you're a couple in marriage, they can find their way to your retreats. There is an epic test that no matter who you are, so worth taking. You'll learn so much about yourself. Again, I've been hired by influential people to create influence and bring strategic alliances together. I read people really well. I know personalities really well. I've taken every kind of test out there. I thought this test is totally different than any other test that I've taken. Was so intuitive. I was blown away by what you all were able to know about me. And so if you're into self-discovery, knowing yourself better, understanding yourself better, how to create, in your world, you should definitely go to habitfinder.com, right? And take the free assessment there. And then if they want to follow you, find out more about anything, everything that you have going on, what do you recommend? Where should they go?
First with the habitfinder.com. Just so everybody knows, they get the whole assessment. There's no, okay, for $29.95, you get the rest of it. We give you the whole thing. We want you to really know where you are. And we'll give anybody 30 minutes with one of our Habit Finder specialists to go through it, to understand it even better. Because if someone's really interested in getting to the real issues, then they can start with that. Then they go to augmandino.com. They can go to Mandino Entrepreneur. That's our Facebook page, 70,000 people, and follow that. I do a live video every Monday morning, 8 o'clock Mountain Time, called Augment Your Week. On Habit Finder, the Facebook page, Habit Finder. You could go there, and on Tuesday at noon Mountain Time, Paul, our president, does a 1-hour coaching session for free. This is how you follow us.
Awesome.
We just give value until you go, I want more. Okay, then let's talk about how to do that. But this is a place very few people are looking. People want their circumstances to shift.
Isn't that so interesting, Dave? I want to know about this because I'm just coming up on this now as I put my work out there more and working with people. I meet already so many people that get to these moments where they're saying, I really want change in my money, change in my body, change in my relationship, something, change in the way I'm feeling. And they'll ask questions and seem really excited. And then maybe you give them something free to do, like go get the Habit Finder thing. And you check back a month later and they were in tears, but they haven't taken the Habit Finder test, or they haven't read the book you suggested, or haven't done those things yet. And then you have certain people that it seems like a smaller group of people that have those same kind of moments, and they just go above and beyond, like they're ripping through your content and like binge watching. And so do you experience that? And is there a certain statistic you've noticed of, like, in any given room, a certain percentage? And anything you have to say about that, I want to know, because a lot of not only for me, but for a lot of my audience, they are, entrepreneurs that are coaching, teaching, leading, helping in some kind of way. And yeah.
I don't like to be in rooms where we're kind of guessing. I'm speaking next week twice in Los Angeles to rooms of people that are coming who really want to do this. Those are really thrilling people to talk to. I'm patient.
Oh.
Because I was like 40 years old when the world was ripped out from underneath me. And I was a real rear end before then. I was my Rolex watch. I was my Ferrari. I was my house on Mount Helix. I was all of those things because I was still really confused. Childhood just rippled through all of that. I was still trying to prove by accumulation. God loved me enough to give me a moment to really take a different look. I'm deeply grateful for that. But I know everybody has their own moment. And if I can give them an assessment and they cry, they may be in touch with that feeling for the first time ever. And it may scare them to death, and they may go back into and try to figure it out, but they'll never forget that feeling. And eventually, they're going to realize that it's time to do something, and they'll come around. So I just want to plant as many of those seeds in people for them to have that feeling, so they'll know when they're finally ready where they're going to want to focus.
That's beautiful. I know it took me a really long time of a lot of action, a lot of reconditioning to even get to the place to take action on some goals that have been lifetime goals. So I appreciate that. So I hear you saying love, patience, passion, understanding, and how, because you have a room full of people that are really ready. So that's there is a way that you're creating barriers of entry for your time as you got busier, right? Because obviously wherever you are, I can feel you. I know wherever you are, you're a kind human being, that you're making a difference at the grocery store. You're making a difference with anyone and everyone that you meet. But when it comes to booking your schedule and determining who's going to, get that private time, you probably had to put some kind of like test or barriers or boundaries in, or no? And if so, what were they? What are your tips?
That's a great question. This happens to be with a company we've been doing work with for about 4 years. and it hit the tipping point. You change enough lives, if that's the focus. Far too many, this is really scary to say, but I'm going to say it. Far too many want to be gurus, and they want to be the hero. I have no guru energy nor hero energy. I'm a guide. I want the client to be the hero.
Yes.
I want them to, and the antagonist is the habits of thinking. Let's take them on their hero journey. And if you do that with enough people and you create enough heroes, they want you to come and talk to everybody else that wants that same kind of a journey. It's been 19 years. That helps. One person at a time. So I would say to anybody that wants to go out, I hear people say, I want to write a book. And I say, well, okay. How much time do you spend writing? Well, I'm going to get to it. Well, then you don't want to be a writer. You just want to be rich. How many books do you think you'll sell? Well, I want to sell 1 million copies. Did you know in self-improvement that a book that sells 15,000 copies is a bestseller? Let's get real about what's really going on, because we get into the fantasy and we get into the, I want to be wealthy, I want to be famous, I want to be rich, and we're going to use this medium to get there. Why don't we become that and then
so
speak
powerful.
from our becoming and not have the experience create us? Let us be that and then bring that to people.
Oh my gosh, you are just thrilling my heart. I mean, really, I think for a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with, they are looking to create time, freedom. They're mothers or they're fathers, or they're just people who want to go spend a month in Bali if they feel like spending a month in Bali, you know? And so, and they're talented. They're talented people with a heart for service. And so then they learn there's a way to create your community online, find your perfect clients, your soul tribe, and make a difference. And then along that journey, they're learning how to market, and, you know, those things can feel really off base because they've always just been the heart. And now I've got to show up online. Now I need to learn what a Facebook Live is. Now I need to do, and now I'm exhausted and my kid is exhausted and my house is dirty and I've got 10 people wanting some advice from me, you know? And so I think it can be challenging to either go ahead and make the steps toward marketing that would give them that longer picture that they're wanting, which is very heart-centered. It's not that they're greedy. They want to be with their children and they want to make an impact, and they've seen someone do it. So it's a realistic dream these days. But so either it's too scary to take those actions because some of them feel inauthentic when you get into marketing, or they start to lose the heart-centered base because they're so in now the pockets that they weren't in before. And so they start becoming misaligned with themselves, or in either one, you lose something, right? So what advice do you have? Because I hear you saying you've got to stay in the heart, stay in the service, and it feels like a warm blanket inside of my body, you know, just hearing that. It's so just soothing and grounding, and where I think most of my audience really are, that they're natural lovers, you know, but that are somewhere in this path of, and at first as an entrepreneur, you wear all the hats until you can afford to pay some people to wear some of the hats, right? So what advice do you have around that?
I love the heart-centered piece. I would just ask anybody who wants to do this to just keep checking in with why. I had a moment in 1992. I'm paying back the $1 million, right? I'm doing everything I can do. And we had some educational films and they stopped selling in 1 month. The Waters bill in California was repealed. And that was our primary buyer, was California schools. And we went from tough to awful. I had a $1 million life insurance policy and it was getting ready to lapse. And Now what do? I actually spent time considering that possibility right down to the night.
You mean of taking your own life?
Uh-huh.
So that policy, whoa.
Could solve the problem and free my family of the debt. Well, the sun came up the next morning and I hadn't. And I remember they spill out of my mouth. I long to cry to the God of my youth. God of my youth will not hear my cry. I must change my God or change my cry. And then I said, I just want the real one. I just want the real one. I got angry. Well, the real one showed up for a great conversation. And I promised that day, you show me how to dig out of this, and I will spend the rest of my life helping other people do likewise. I think the motivation for wanting to do this, you want it to come from a place like that, because it can be exhausting, and you can work tirelessly. You're on a 4th airplane in a week, and you're trying to figure out how you got here. You just remember the mission is to teach people correct principles so they can dig out of the darkness and find light in their life, and you can stay in that space. Now it's time to think about additional marketing. Almost all the marketing in the Mandino Institute is referral. We have a great company, just referral. And now it's time to go to the next level. But guess what we discovered? Google rewards content. So instead of trying to game the system for SEO, we actually have content. So a podcast gets created, a blog post gets created, a YouTube video gets created, is shot live on Facebook like you're doing. We maximize all the SEO pieces, not to drive them to the Og Mandino group. We're the number one, we're ogmandino.com. I mean, can't get better.
Right.
But there's a lot of people searching for words that we address that don't have Og Mandino or the greatest salesman in them. And so we start attracting all of those pieces. It's just wisdom, because that allows us to help more people get out of darkness. The mission never changes. But you might use marketing, and all of a sudden, our podcast company goes, do you have any videos? We said, we got 400 of them. So now they're going to start doing 20 a month in addition to that, other than the 2 live we do every week. The predictions are really interesting. But it's the content that drives the SEO search. It's not gaming it. It's not faking it out with multiple websites or whatever. It's actual real substance that people can read and or listen to and actually impact their life. If we can stay in that place, that why do we want to do this? What's our why? I can feel yours.
Yeah, you're about to make me cry. You see this water, the water coming. The water's coming. I just like,
can you feel it? I can feel it. When people stay there, all the other stuff you do is just to drive more people to have that kind of an experience. And it's not about the money. It's not about the fame. It's not about the legacy. Those are all lag measurements. Those all happen as a natural outcome of delivering content and value on a continued basis, consistently over time. That's what I think.
I think I love you, Mr. Blanchard. I think the world does too. Yeah, that's so beautiful to hear. And I know my core tribe, they are lovers, and they are, all over the place, finding their way through life, and doing all the things, reading all the books, saying all the prayers they know to say, and hearing from someone who has been there and has done it. And we all relate to that finding our worth in something outside of ourselves, whether it be a career, a car, a mate, a body type, and learning that's ultimately not where it's at. It's fun to create as creators and to experience it, but ultimately it is the beingness, the energy that's running through your body in the moments that led to creating that, right? So I know that several entrepreneurs just had a big exhale right back into their own heart and truth and why. And anyone who's felt they're off that course is going, wait, let me check myself before I wreck myself. Yeah, I think that was so beautifully stated. And I really think the quality of our life is measured by the quality of our moments all put together. And you have just given me so much quality. And I feel deeply blessed to have gotten this time with you and to have been able to share you with my audience, both now and the people who will watch the replay and hear the podcast. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing and the person that you're being.
May I punctuate with this?
Yes.
I love nice things.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a great life.
Mm-hmm.
Some really fun toys. The difference is I'm not my toys.
Mm.
They can come and go. That's where we want to get. We want to get to a point that we're so grounded as a person, we don't need the things to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the concern. Because I tried to fill that void with things. You can't get enough things to fill that void. You know what I'm saying. It comes from a different place. Let's not lose that piece, because that's a really dark place.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your time so generously and your stories. And just, like I said, I can feel you're just who you are and the moment that we've created together. I know that those, just like the art that you talked about behind you, when you're able to capture that, I'm so glad that we've captured this here, because I know that the energy of it lives on. The vibration, whenever it's heard or watched in that perfect moment, that other people will feel the up-leveling in their own beings and the grounding and conditioning. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Aren't they beautiful too?
Yes.
Hey, it's Adora Crystal again. I hope you so enjoyed this episode of the podcast. If you did, please share it with 3 friends right now. Please use the hashtag The Rich Queen Movement, because we are always giving away prizes to our tribe. And if you want to go deeper with us, be sure to go to therichqueenmovement.com and take the free class that we're offering. It's going to help you unlock massive gifts inside of your own DNA. Until next time, so much love.